let's do it live. Let's do it all live. Welcome back. Welcome to the stream. It's good to be up and at 'em on this nice sunny Sunday afternoon. You can probably see the streaks of sun coming through the windows and hitting me, blinding me almost. But still should be a pretty fun stream. It's not going to be there for long, and I can't wait to show you what we've got in store. I've added some more stuff to what we've created. Didn't want to show that too soon. I've added a couple more things to the project that we're working on, the Pig War material. This is going to be some good stuff right here, and we're going to be picking up right where we left off. We've had a lot of ideas from last week's stream that I attempted to make some headway on. I got some good headway on a few of them already. I love the way that they turned out. I think there's more that can be added, although I will say that the stuff that we did on the VPN, side with Board VPN last week, that has been quite a focus. So we're going to try and make some more magic happen here. And see, turn the page, make sure we've got a good Sharpie ready to work, and we do. I always write everything down as it comes. Of course, if you are eager to participate in the chat, whatever you think sounds great. And I mentioned in a post that I put yesterday evening that this may be a shorter stream. It depends not on me, but the old copy that's right in front of me. It could be that the memory is getting taken up by something else, and we need to be very cautious with it. We need to be very careful in how we essentially navigate through the stream. So that just takes a lot of processing power, takes a lot of energy from the computer. Sometimes I mention that the computer sweats every time. It doesn't sweat in a literal sense, but you can tell it's really working hard. It's a laptop. What can you expect? A laptop that was manufactured in 2018. Not that I'm knocking it. It's done a fantastic job. It's not going to be lasting forever, but by golly, am I going to make it last as long as I can. Probably going to make a desktop my next computer still, but either way, this has been a wonderful computer all the way. Why is my mic so crunchy? Ooh, good question. Why is my mic so crunchy? Let's see what's going on here. You know what, I bet I know what it is. Let me try something. Let's try this.
Let's visit our settings. Audio is kind of interesting. It's like a Half-Life multiplayer. I'm going to take a wild guess and say, and hey, by the way, thank you so much, Luna, for attending. Thank you, Hero of Logic. Let me see if the audio is fixed now. Focusrite, that's right. And I'm guessing that this also has something to do with it. Now, if this, yeah, I knew it. I knew it. You know what it is? So I was recording a voiceover for Mount Sinai Hospital, and I had the settings turned in a certain way. I was essentially making sure that the way that I speak into the microphone now was not the way that I was going to be speaking when I do my typical voiceover work, because I have a portable booth that I use, but I have to change the settings because I stand a little bit further away from the mic, and it captures it in a different way. But I also have some other settings tuned, so I think that may have done something. I did unplug it. Yes, good. It is better. I did unplug it, but I also changed a couple of settings after I unplugged it, because sometimes when you unplug something, it makes it a little bit easier to have those settings kick in. It's almost like when you restart the computer after you update some things. And speaking of updates, drivers are updated, so I hope that this stream does not give me memory problems like I was encountering last night while working on some videos. Speaking of videos, by the way, the title of this stream is called Smixing, sentence mixing shortened, and we're pretty much going to be doing the same thing we did last week, but in addition to that, I'm going to give you the heads up on something now. If you are aspiring to make a sentence mixing YouTube poop yourself, you'll be delighted to know that after this stream, I'm putting out an announcement video. And that announcement smixing. Did I come up with that? That's a good term for it. I'm probably not the first. I'm probably not the first person to come up with it. If I am, I'd be very surprised. I just kind of took the two words, merged them together. It's something that the things would do with great effect. But after this stream, I'll be putting out an announcement video. We are going, and I kind of hinted at this 2 weeks ago on that stream. Sentence Mixing Collab 4. It is going to be up. It's going to be active, and you're welcome to join. So I'll be giving the details on that a little bit more broadly in the announcement video, which will be a very fun announcement video. I wonder if it's going to be used. So, smixing. Yes. We're going to be doing some smixing here. So let me show you what I've got that I worked on. Now, I told you that in last week's stream that I was going to be doing some mostly sentence mixing work during these streams, and that allowed me to work on some of the visuals that are going to accompany some of these jokes. So take a look. Take a look at this.
This video was made possible by NordVPN. By now, like the dumb sheep that you aren't.
So we got BoardVPN. And in all honesty, this looks like the perfect. This is just great design. The only thing I would do differently here is I would add a little shadow at the bottom, because sometimes when you have those like that little shadow on the floor, it gives the logo some depth. But that's going to be coming later. And then I added a little bit of this. Now, I don't know how this is, like, I'll explain what I mean. So I have two versions of this joke that you're about to hear. You're going to hear one version, and then I'm going to make the other version. You tell me what works best. So here's the first version.
Go to boardvpn.com/ to get a 2-year plan for free. Just pay with your soul.
So there's number one. Now, I have a second way. I think I like this version, the version you heard better, but I want to get your opinion on this for sure. So that's the first version. Now, the second version of this joke is like so.
Go to boardvpn.com/ you swine to get a 2-year plan for free. Just pay with your soul.
So I'm a little bit preferential to the but you tell me what you like. I like the way he says you swine. I want to incorporate it somehow. Maybe even sentence mix something else that starts with an SW. But either way, that's what we've got. Pay with your soul. That was a great. That was an idea that was kind of like submitted. It was like a 2-month plan with an additional year. I like the pay with your soul punchline on this, and I also finished up the capped pan.
This video was made possible by Captain Pan.
Now, let me just spike the P sound a little bit.
Captain Pan.
I'll have to work on it a little bit more. Pay with your soul is super good. Yeah, I like pay with your soul too. I was thinking about a currency, but I think that pay with your soul is a little bit more original and it works a lot better. Honorius, nice. Oh, swoos. I thought about that, like a little forward reverse. Let me see how that sounds.
For free. Just pay with your soul.
Let me go to this and see what happens when I. It would probably be more of a swice than a swoos. Let's see what it sounds like when I. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay, then a little copy, reversal action.
You swouse!
Whoa.
Swouse!
Oh, actually, I like that. That actually does sound a little bit more like swouse.
You swouse!
I can add that at the end just for the sake of it. That works so right.
Soul. You swouse!
I don't know. The way some things just sound great. You know, there are times where some things need a punchline, and then there are other times where you just have something that sounds funny by itself, and it works. That is how we're going to kick things off by showing you that. Now, we have a clean slate here. We kind of started, I'm going to try and pick up this week the same way that we ended last week, with not the very, very last thing, but the thing before that.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, the United States terminated Great Britain by shooting Paris. However, Benjamin Franklin, the 7th Earl of Chissingham, says he encountered a farting butt, whose farts were so powerful.
So, a butt whose farts were so powerful. And this is the very last thing that we worked on.
Benjamin Franklin, part of the United Britain of Paris.
Yeah, I think we can add that a little later, maybe in the front of the sentence. Use voice. You can stutter before mentioning the swoos. Let's see what it sounds like. Let's go right back to it. It's right here. Yeah, that could probably be done with this little bit right here. Let's fade out a little bit. Maybe merge them a little bit. This kind of sounds like it's almost merging together. Overall, how's it sound? Sounds good. Sounds pretty good. I could use that. Hey, what's going on, unusual guy? Oh, Flip, I didn't know you were still on Vegas. I moved to Premiere recently. No one uses Vegas anymore. No, plenty of people still use Vegas. The big thing about Vegas sometimes is that you have to go through a ton of surgery on your computer to make it run the way that you want. I've heard of people running into all sorts of errors when they try to do things on Vegas, like it crashes, and sometimes it's just a simple tweak here and there that you can do. I've heard so many good things about Adobe Premiere. I've heard so many good things about other softwares. I just use Vegas because it's, I don't know, it just works so well with me. It clicks. It's just because I've used it so often. I can probably get the hang of Premiere, but I just like the way this software works right now. But plenty of people still do use Vegas. Acrobo still uses Vegas, and they still use Vegas in a lot of professional films. I mean, it used to be a Sony-owned product, so I'm pretty sure that Columbia TriStar Studios used it with aplomb. Maybe they still use it. Who knows? And yeah, the Jizzington joke. I can't wait to. We're gonna just abuse the hell out of it. So what we have here, we have a fart that is so big it did what? I wonder if, so pulling up Word, I wonder if knock is there. Yes, search from the beginning. The word knock isn't there. How's it going, Mikey B? Yes, it's going great. I got a lot of things on the plate here. Just going to see how long this computer goes before it comes up with a memory glitch. I'm hoping it doesn't happen. But good to see you on the stream, my man. Good to see you. All right. Let's, right off the bat, I'm seeing something. At 1928. At 1928, you know, we were flirting with...
You swine!
Oh, that's exactly where I pulled the you swine from.
No, the swine is the one I killed. Killed.
The word killed. So... fart's so big, and we can incorporate the name that we just created.
Benjamin Franklin, part of the United Britain of Paris.
It killed Benjamin Franklin. That's a perfect lead-in. I've only ever heard YouTube Purpose complain about their software and its crashing capacity. I've heard it for years. Like, I've heard about... so back when people were starting to get more and more used to Vegas, the Vegas of choice was Vegas 5, and that was really the first version of Vegas that did video editing, because before that it was audio editing that Vegas did. And when people moved to newer versions, it came with more features, but it also did not operate very well with their computer or something about their settings. And as a result, that caused a lot of crashes. In fact, chances are you'll find a lot of people advising certain versions of Vegas over others. Many of these versions are older versions for the same reason, that they don't operate well with certain computers. But it doesn't mean that they're impossible to tame. Vegas 16, when I got it, it had so many crashing problems. It's just a couple of settings that you have to fix, and often you will find these settings on YouTube. And plus, a lot of these settings are probably ones that you should definitely enable no matter what kind of video editor that you're using, whether it be Vegas, whether it be Adobe Premiere, whether it be Final Cut. Well, I don't know about Final Cut. That's an Apple product. The settings are probably different. Maybe they're more, I don't know, fixed for them. But the point is, you should probably have your computer tuned to the best settings for video editing right from the get-go, even if it's not crashing. Chances are it will help with renders, help with your preview window things. So it's just a matter of going with what you like. I know a lot of people love Vegas still. So for that reason, I still use it, and I'm probably going to be upgrading it very soon. Maybe I'll upgrade it in tune with a new computer once we get to that point. I mean, I want to really squeeze every last bit of life out of this one. And even if it does die overnight or it just gets a big hole through it, I save all my projects on a hard drive that I have attached to it. So it's not like the hard drive's going to get fried and I'm lost forever. No, I can just pull that hard drive, plug it into a new computer, and bam, all of the project files appear there. So
powerful.
It killed. So we have the word killed.
Killed.
It killed. So we can accompany the it with the killed. So we need an it. And probably something that has a case starter. Let's begin with the first. Nope. So let's try G. I just want to find if there is any kind of version of it that follows up with a starting K sound. Maybe a C sound. So it came. There we go. I mean, I did some graphic design. And I learned to like some Adobe against my will, just from sheer familiarity. So I learned a little bit of graphic design in college, and that meant I learned a little bit of the Adobe Suite, Illustrator, Photoshop, of course. I didn't learn Premiere. I did not learn Premiere because this was graphic design, and that meant that it was more focused on the images and the Illustrator tools more so than it was on the video editing side. So it does take some time to learn, but once you get the hang of it, it does feel great to use. And I'm sure that Adobe Premiere is the same way. There's a reason why a lot of people use it, why a lot of professional studios use it. It's also mad expensive, and Adobe has been really doing a hell of a job making it more expensive each year. Not to say that it isn't worth its price, but I mean, Vegas tends to be smaller costs, and if all I have to do is adjust a few settings here and there, I can cope with that. I can cope with that, especially since I'm not doing massive blockbuster films. I'm doing YouTube poop, and I think that for the job, Vegas does a brilliant, brilliant job. So go with the software that you have. A lot of free software is out there too that will do the job well. I mean, Premiere has some competitors from free software as well. Yeah, and its pricing is sort of predatory, absolutely.
To the beaver business. So when it came to the question...
So the thing about the predatory pricing is that Adobe will often try to get you to sign up for subscriptions for their software, and in a sense it does remove the ownership from it. And I don't like that. I'd much rather own my software. Of course, this is a digital download. I own it digitally more so than I own it on a CD-ROM drive. It's so hard to find CD-ROMs anymore, but my computer probably needs an attachment anyways. I had a friend that was familiar with professional video editing. I remember showing him a Vegas profile where I was doing sentence mixing. His response was, "Holy shit, that's a lot of small cuts." Yeah, I mean, so I had a family friend stay with us over the Christmas season. He does a lot of vlogging, and his edits that he does are much, much smaller in scale. And I mentioned earlier in the stream that I did, by the way, Dinner Warrior, it's nice to see you on the stream. I mentioned earlier on the stream that I was doing a voiceover for Mount Sinai Hospital, and there were some much smaller cuts that needed to be made, especially when it just came to using the take that was in the recording. I just had to cut out everything. I mean, it's so much smaller than what you would do with a YouTube poop. But the thing about a YouTube poop that also does that, does a lot of hard work on the computer and your video editor as well, is exactly what you said, Dinner Warrior. It's all of those microscopic cuts that are technically all these small, tiny little files that your software has to remember the order for. That's the reason why whenever I make a really big project, sometimes I will render or just make like a part one of it, so to say, rather than continue, because then it will slow down the computer or slow down the software, and it makes it a much more tedious project. Can't be... That's all right, mini colored patch. Can't be on here this time because 25 of my grade stats test tomorrow. Plus, I'm going to limit my screen time. Hope we get to cover the source more. Well, it's good to see you on. It's nice to see you on the stream for whatever time you can manage mini colored journal. Thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck on your test tomorrow. And yes, Honorius, it's a dinner warrior himself. At the beginning, you sound like a black guy with the... Oh, my God. Yeah, with the poor audio, it's just... I just had to redo some settings. I sound like a black guy. Wow. I sound like Donkey. Fartsmoan, welcome. I used a program called Handbrake, which I use when when a media fails to load into the software. I'm not familiar with Handbrake. What does it do exactly? Does it change the type of file that it is, or does it compress it to make it a smaller file so it's easier to run? It sounds like that's what it does.
So when it came to the...
All right.
It came to the...
So this is a tricky it. It's a soft it.
It came...
Let's see if it...
It came...
And let's see how well it works. It should work all right, because in this sentence, the second half of the sentence, the predicate, usually the word it would be softer as well, because the emphasis would be on the word killed, which we have a good emphasis on here.
Killed.
Let's see how it works.
It killed. It killed.
Yes, it works. So it's not an it, it's an it. And that's usually what you want. It makes it sound more natural. If you add that extra consonant sound from the it, it's not going to be as natural sounding. You might not confuse your audience a little bit. They'll probably be able to discern, but I just like that. I like that natural sentence mixing a lot. Not too natural.
Powerful. It killed.
All right. It basically codifies the video so it can run. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. All right. And Dinner War, we're going to use... Unfortunately, we're going to have to kill off your character here. In our little story here.
It killed. Bench.
All right. Let's get this.
Killed.
We want the killed...
Killed.
Right here.
It killed. Benjamin Franklin, part of the United Britain of Paris.
There we go. So the full sentence, which will fine-tune a little bit here and there.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, the United States terminated Great Britain by shooting Paris. However, Benjamin Franklin, the 7th Earl of Chissingham, says he encountered a farting butt whose farts were so powerful. It killed Benjamin Franklin, part of the United Britain of Paris.
There we go. I love when stories just... Is this an audio only? Yes, it is. Well, it's not going to be audio only. We're just working on the audio first. And the reason for that's twofold. One, I want to focus on sentence mixing purely on this stream. And there's a reason for it. Like, with the visual effects, sometimes those can take up a lot of time on the stream. Like, with a lot of the masking that I do, sometimes I take up so much time just cutting out things or using visual effects. I'd rather do that in the background this time. Let me show you what I mean. So, one of the jokes that we did in the last week's stream, some of my favorite poops are audio only. Yes, like the Noise Puppet makes a lot of really good ones. Dinner Warrior made a very funny one that was pretty much the CDI characters and pretty much everything YouTube poop related with the Amnesia series. And I'm trying to remember how long ago he made that. Dinner Warrior, maybe you can help me out here, because it's one of my favorite things that I've ever heard, just because it fits so well. And the last line, and it will eat your dinner. And the way that the king says dinner, sometimes those simple sentence mixing poops emphasize it so well and so naturally. Shoot, I have to... Dinner Warrior, tell me, remind me the title of it again. Put it in chat so people can see it at the same time. It's well worth it. But yeah, there are a lot of great audio-only poops. I'm not keen on audio-only all the time unless maybe it's some kind of, I don't know, maybe it's a podcast YouTube poop or something like that where you don't always get visuals to go along with it unless you have a camera like Joe Rogan Experience or something like that. But I like there to be visuals with it. I like YouTube poop to be more audio visual than just audio or solely visual. Yeah. But yeah, Noise Puppet made some great poops. Waldfield made some great audio-only YouTube poops of music. I'm just going to show you this real quick. We worked on Board VPN last week. Here is Board VPN in full.
This video was made possible by Board VPN. By now, like the dumb sheep that you aren't, go to boardvpn.com/ to get a 2-year plan for free. Just pay with your soul.
There we go. In the Board VPN, I concocted this maybe in less than a minute. And it was just, yeah, easy that. And the visual effects, like I said, I just want to make sure that I put more emphasis on the sentence mixing, which can be a little bit, I think it's a lot more inclusive. I think that there's a lot more opportunities to really let your ideas shine. Amnesia, a machine for spinner. Thank you, Dinner Warrior. Thank you. You know what I want to see someone do? One of those 2000s era, this isn't your mom's radio station sort of fake ads, but with a CDI theme. You know what? That is a pretty swell idea. I saw a TikTok of a joke like that. I'm trying to remember. It went something like when the Uber driver doesn't have Bluetooth or something like that. And it was just a radio, like the radio splashes where you have all of the sound effects that you would hear in those morning shows or the bumpers. It goes on for a full minute and the listener realizes, what the hell am I listening to? I'll have to show it to you or post it someplace. But it's a fantastic TikTok. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. Everything on TikTok gets posted to YouTube no matter what. All right, so we killed that guy. That's the first line of our story. And it doesn't have to be cohesive. It doesn't have to make any sense. That's the beauty of sentence mixing. If it can make a little bit more sense, I think it can be a little funnier. But again, it's not a necessity. It's just a recommendation. Let's pick up where we left off.
Another Whatcom County.
All right. Now, I believe that we had picked everything up at the first minute mark. Yes. Right around the first minute. So right around the first minute mark is where we're going to start here. Because I think that's where the majority of all this comes from. I made Mario comics when I was into school, but decided to scrap it. One of them was based on Super Mario RPG. I may revive that idea someday for sure. It's been re-released. Post what you got online. You'll never know what kind of people love it. I've seen comics that people have put descriptions on saying this isn't my best work, and it turns out to be really, really funny. So do it for sure. Just go wild with it.
Among various things, they discussed American territorial gains and the British.
Hold on, let's start a little further back.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, when the United States secured its independence from Great Britain, the two sides met in Paris to settle the terms. Record scratch.
We could use a couple of record scratches here and there.
Among various things, they
Oh wait.
Among.
Oh man. Is the word us anywhere? I'm sure it's. Let's see here. Start from the beginning, not found, but yes, start from the beginning, not found. Okay. So let's create some space to make it clear that I'm looking for the word us. You're now listening to 102.1 FM. Sounds about right. I mean, that's FM radio nowadays. You can't help it because Clear Channel owns a lot of the airspace, and let's see, Clear Channel and Greater Media. They'll own a lot of the airspace, and that means that they're going to try and make a lot of their bumpers homogenized, make them sound so similar. And this is the case with a lot of genres: country, pop, rock, classic rock, you name it. All right, I think that we can do the us here. Now, the reason I'm pulling an us, I think you heard the word among here, and I think you know where I'm going with this. So let's get that us. If we can find something to do with Among Us that is pretty funny, because I don't want the joke to be exclusively Among Us. I want there to be something else to it. Because, you know, if we just have Among Us, it's a reference, but I want there to be an actual joke. I want there to be a punchline.
No mind. An arrogant humbug. And a laughingstock. Like I said, General Harney had a reputation. He hated the...
Maybe I went a little too far. 1250 is what we want. 21, was it 2150 or 2250? 2150, yeah. 2150. I think this is it.
Arrest him. Outrageous. But we can use it. We get the settlers there to send us a petition saying...
Oh, that's a perfect us right there. That's a perfect us.
Send us a petition.
Now, it has a D ending, which might not be a problem. Like, it has a D sound before it comes into focus. Let's see.
Powers.
And now let's grab the among, which occurs maybe about 106. Memory serves. Wouldn't hurt to listen to this again.
British granted them a generous amount of land out west. Among various things.
Here we go.
Among
there we go. Among. So if we can make a good punchline using Among Us.
Among powers.
Wait, what? Oh wait, that's the wrong one. This is what I want. Okay. Let's get rid of the D. Now, I might have to drop the pitch of this one a little bit. Maybe negative 0.5. Lock to stretch. See what we get.
Among us.
Now, I wish... Now, if we can get a GO or GU, that would be even better. We want the D sound. Well, the reason about the thing about the D sound is that it's going to make it sound almost like Among Us unless we can fuse it right, but this might need to get some extra reinforcements. Let's see if we can find a GU word. Gun. Yes, guns. Because sometimes when we say Among Us, a lot of times we're not saying Among Us, we're saying Among Us. So matching that vocal pattern just means that we have to get the word gun here. 2553. 2553. Here we go.
Now seeing the British ships with their guns aimed.
That's good.
Guns aimed.
And the cool part is that this one doesn't have an emphasis, like the end doesn't sound very emphasized. Yes, exactly. Borb, you got the idea. Welcome to the stream, Among Us. All right, let's see what we get.
Gun.
So the N isn't bleeding.
Gun. Dust. Gun.
Now let's see what happens when we put them together. We may have to... this is reminding me of that Clear Talk Plus lady. Amongst of us. Destroya, welcome in. Welcome in.
Gun.
Let's see.
Gun. Gun.
Actually, I like the...
Gun.
I think I like this a lot better.
Guns.
There we go.
Among Us.
There we go. Listen to that. That is so clean.
Among Us.
It's not perfectly clean, but...
Among Us.
There we go.
Among Us.
That is so clean. Like, it's perfect. You're listening to things you're listening to when you want to listen to something, but only when you want to. I don't know. Vertaro, welcome to the stream. Welcome in. So now we need to find a punchline for this. And we could probably listen in closely and think of ways that we could have it lead into an Among Us punchline. Yes, clean is right. Clean. Yeah.
This video was made possible.
Whoops. Right
Britain.
here.
The two sides met in Paris to settle the terms.
Ooh. The two sides met in Paris to settle let's see, to settle the rivalry with a game of Among Us. That would be a good way of leading into it, because like I said, I don't want it to be the punchline, but I want it to be ridiculous.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, when the United States secured its independence from Great Britain,
And Skywalker, it's working. Listen closely and think of
the two sides met in Paris to settle the terms.
Let's see. We can use the word rivalry. We can use the word score. To settle the rivalry is probably going to work a heck of a lot better here. And the two sides, we can specify them with our own addition of the, for like two other countries if we don't want to use the British and the Americans. Let's see here. Let's see if rivalry is in this script. No, it's here. But what about score? To settle the... Alright, so we don't have rivalry. We don't have score. Let's go to our handy dandy thesaurus. Synonyms for rivalry. Settle the conflict. Ooh, that would be a good one. That's why I love big scripts. There's a chance. Conflict. Yes. Conflict. 3648. 3648. So 3648, we're going to grab the word conflict to settle the conflict, which, oddly enough, I think is how Star Wars Episode 1 ended. Good reference there, Honarius. Star Wars Episode 1's little, the text fill.
More level-headed minds and an eagerness for peace and cooperation. Conflict.
Conflict. All right. The Thesaurus went extinct. LOL. I'm so original. Hey, you should definitely think about using a thesaurus in sentence mixing for sure.
The two sides met in Paris to settle the
conflict.
Settle the conflict.
It's a very weird sounding sentence, but it still works. I mean, the beauty of sentence mixing is that it's oh man, it sounds so good when it's imperfect sometimes. You should do a reference to the song Revolution by the Beatles. Oh man, I haven't listened to the Beatles enough. I'm not sure. Well, actually, no. Revolution by the Beatles. There are probably some other Beatles references that we can reference. I would need to listen to Revolution, Fartsmode. Your idea is probably really good, but I only have one Beatles album, and that's Abbey Road, and that's all I know about the Beatles. I know it's terrible. I listen to so much music, and I haven't listened to all the Beatles songs. I really should. Jeez. All right, let's see. To settle the conflict. Let's see. Is the word match here? Match, but game probably not. But playing. Nope. All right, which is fine.
Sides met in Paris to settle the conflict.
So we have to think of a verb, an action word here that leads into Among Us. So playing isn't there. We could, well, actually, let's try the word just play by itself. Okay, maybe I'm trying to play. Okay, that works. Is there any other instance of the word play? No. So the only instance of the word play, which can work out because we would need a word that has an ending with Y, I, N, G, preferably A-Y-I-N-G, because usually when you have a word that has those four letters, Y-I-N-G, the I-N-G sound, the G sound, isn't going to be enunciated enough. It might sound like playing with a strong focus on the N more than the G. The G may be coming in very hard. So you don't have a hard G sound. I want to pull from a soft G sound. Sense mixing at its finest. What can I say? I do what I can. So 2245 is where... In fact, we could also do played Among Us since we're talking about past tense here. 2245.
Territory. Maybe I'm trying to play the hero. Trying to play the... This
is a weird sounding play, but it's distinct enough that you can tell that's the word play. So trying to play... The two sides played Among Us. So the way the P sound here is interesting. How does he do that P sound? All right, let's trim it so it's instead of the word play the. Now let's see if
Part of the United Britain of Paris.
The two sides
met in Paris to settle the conflict.
I think playing is going to work better by playing Among Us. So we need a Y-I-N-G sound. Y-I-N-G. There's going to be a play trying. There we go. 2250. Oh. Wow. Oh no, we were at 2150. That's where we were. So just a minute later.
The hero, so I can become president. Some have even suggested that since I'm a slave-owning Southerner, I may be trying to create. Trying to create.
That's not going to work. It's almost like he's not this. It's almost like it's a one-syllable word instead of a two-syllable word. Instead of saying trying, he's saying trying, and that's not going to work out. Playing could work. Playing. I want to focus. Let's try to make it playing instead of playing first. So trying doesn't work. So we know that the way that the narrator speaks, he's going to say trying as a one-syllable word. So let's try to find other. Justifying might be the best one here. 2404. So 2404 will probably give us the best Y-I-N-G sound.
In D.C. justifying his
Let's see how it works. Justifying, fine. If we can get some action here.
To settle the conflict.
Let's see how it sounds. Let's just get
playing.
Let's see if I stretch it out a little bit more. Does it get better? Yeah, I can stretch it out. I can probably fade it out a little bit so it's a little less of a knock. Okay. It's not the way I thought it would sound. But it's very clear. Like sometimes you have words that don't sound right, but you can fill in with the brain what it's saying. So now what we need is the word by. So by, and let's see if we can find a P word that follows, a by with a P word that follows it. No. So we need a by, and let's see, there's one. By soldiers. I think that one's going to have a bleeding S. Let's find another one. By golly. By golly. Well then, by golly. There might be some perfect emphasis on this by. So 2649 is where we should head. 2649.
So he decided that if American forces were allowed to be on the island, well then by God.
By playing. So it's the emphasis is going to be all over the place in this sentence, which I wonder how it's going to impact the final result.
Settle the conflict by Conflict by playing.
Let's see. Settle the conflict by playing. If I can make it.
Conflict by playing.
So, I'm iffy on this because it's a very, very clear buy. But I wish it was quicker because it's like when I listen to it, if I were listening to it without knowing what I'm trying to create, I would think that the word buy was leading into something very different. I almost want to guide the audience here.
By.
Let's see if I shorten it.
By.
Let's find another one. It was definitely an interesting. By now, this one might work a little bit better. The N might bleed. Let's see what we get. 3013. 3013 is where that is. 3013. The sentence, I want there to be some nice flow to it.
Safe to say that Scott really did not like General Harney. By now.
I think I like this buy better. I think it's quicker. It's probably going to have an N bleeding into it. I don't think that N is going to be a problem because we'll cut out enough of it and we'll still be clean. See what we get.
By.
There we go.
Conflict by playing.
Yeah, that sounds monumentally better. Monumentally better. Hey, what's going down, Turgo? I've been planning to make a YouTube poop, but the plotting involved is astronomical. I'm up to my ears in sentence mixing, complex edits, and sus jokes, and I only got a RAM the size of a pea. Well, how do you do it, Turgo? Do you perhaps use a new Volvic Microsoft Windows? I love it.
The conflict by play.
Let's see.
By playing.
By playing Among Us.
Among Us.
Here we go. Playing Among Us.
By playing Among Us. By playing
I think that there's a little too much going into the ing sound here.
playing
Let's
Among Us.
Let's get this shortened as well.
Among Us.
And then bring it all together.
Playing Among Us. Conflict by playing Among Us.
Yep, that sounds good. So it's not a perfect sounding playing, but you don't need it to sound exactly correct when you are thinking about the enunciation. You want to think about how it would be naturally spoken sometimes. So it's kind of weird. I thought that the emphasis would be on the N, not the G. But turns out I was a little bit backwards on that. But it still sounds great.
The two sides met in Paris to settle the conflict by playing Among Us.
So the playing Among Us. So now we can have this be the next sentence since it does directly reference the prior sentence. But I think I'm gonna have this be a sentence in the future. I want to reference the conflict again. This piece.
Powers.
And this is powers. So let me see if I can find OSS POS. So the word powers I'm singling out because we could do Austin Powers in this. Oh, that's the very first piece of the media made possible.
To stay safe online. This video was made possible.
I think there's a good amount of emphasis on that os.
Possible.
And then we need the word tin, and we can do this one of two ways. We can use TIN or TEN. They'll both create the same sounding result, or the nearly the same sounding result. Sometimes people say TEN in the word Austin without even thinking, and even then when people listen, they'd have to listen closely to realize that they're saying TEN and not TIN.
Awesome.
All right, so right here. Now, let's see if we have a TEN. Tendencies. Imperialist tendencies. So think about enunciation. In the word Austin, os is where the emphasis is. So we need a word that does not have the emphasis on the word ten. Tendencies is going to be one of those words. So we'll keep this in the back pocket. Let's see if we can find a different word. Got intended. That's another one. List. No, that's not correct. Content. Content. That might actually work. Content. And 632. 632. Right in the NordVPN little thing. 632. Made possible by the letter 2 and the number D. Sesame Street joke. Ooh.
History. And you can even unlock content that's
Yes. Heck, we can also use this to make the start of the word, like, it has just enough enunciation, maybe to make the word Tinder, which I used in one of the prior YouTube hoops I've made this year. Let's see what we get.
Austin.
Let's fuse that.
Austin. 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 Austin.
There we go. And then, the word Powers.
Austin Powers. Austin Powers.
There we go. We have the word Austin Powers. And we could probably apply another Sesame, like, Vertaro, your joke right there, made possible by the letter 2 and the number D. I like that. We have a lot of this video is made possible kind of jokes. So why not add another? This video was made possible by the letter 2. 2 is going to be easy because there are 3 ways to spell 2. So let's start with the first way. 2, yep, it's right there. And then the number D. Now the D is probably not going to appear by itself. It's not. But D-E-E, deemed. Perfect. And in particular, the was deemed. Let's grab that. 447. 447. Let's put this into action. 447.
The land out west and secure that region's valuable resources, and in particular, the Great Columbia River was deemed vital to the
It's soft. It's a very soft sounding word. Let me just fix this up here. D. That's the only instance of it. What about... No, that would be diet. D. Usually words that end with D, E might have a long E by themselves without the need for that extra E. So let's see if we can find destined. Device, that's going to be device, destiny, deal. Oh, but the whole sentence, and suddenly, that's where the first part of it go, the whole joint occupation deal, that would be a soft D. Declared, dear, D. We could probably get the first half of that word. 932. 932. 932.
A channel? But there's loads of channels. So you tell me, dear view.
Yeah. All right. That's not going to sound right. Debate, deal. To deal, to give Charles the legal power to deal. This might be the better one. Well, actually, deal. Let's see if it's going to sound right. 1341. 1341.
Rest the Americans, because the island was British, and the two sides were in a standoff. To give Charles Griffin the legal power to deal.
This might be the best we get. So we'll start with that. We can always improve it if we find a better one. Let's go right over here to the very beginning of the video where we've got all of these. This video was made possible by Jokes.
This video was made possible by Nord. This.
Okay, so let's grab that, plop it in to our timeline right here.
This video was made.
Okay, hang on. Let's just pull this down.
Made possible by.
And we can then the L and the late. Okay. Now I wonder if letter. Let's see, the letter 2. Let's see for the letter. Perfect. So 2215. 2215 is where we'd get the word letter. Let's go right here.
My letter.
Ooh.
Letter.
Right off the bat. I love it. All right, let's plop it in.
Letter.
The letter 2 and the number D. Now let's see if we can get the word number. Number. Perfect. 422. 422 for the word number. It's probably going to be over.
Belief in divinely destined expansion would later be given its very own name. Manifest Destiny. But America wasn't the only one interested in controlling the Western territories. At the time, Canada was made up of a number of colonies.
And yes, we are going to be using Canada in this because Canada.
A number of colonies. Of a number of colonies. A number of.
And the word the, I think I just heard right there. Okay. It might be a good enough sound that we can use it for the word the instead of having to hunt for a word like that.
A number of.
Yeah, it's perfect. So. Okay. So.
This video was made possible by.
1 second. All right, cool. All right.
This video was made possible by. Letter.
Okay. We'll need the word the for the word letter. So let's see if let's see. There was a word. The land out west. So 441 will give us the land out west.
As quickly as possible, and the indigenous people became a key supplier. As a result, the British were also eager to control the land out west.
Here we go.
To control the land.
I like the word the when it's like I love it when those sounds fuse the way that I want to.
The land out.
Whoops, not there.
This video was made by possums.
Here we are.
The number of the letter.
Here we go.
The letter. The letter.
The
number
letter.
possible by the letter. By the letter. By the letter. The number.
There we go. By the letter 2. Now we need to pull the word 2. Let's find it. And it's right there in the Express VPN advert. It's 639. 639.
Money back guarantee. So why not go to nordvpn.com/oversimplified to get a 2-year.
Let's see if there's another 2. 2 sides. That might work a little better. 823. 823. 823.
even gave Britain notice that it was pulling out of the joint occupation agreement. The British were alarmed as the two sides.
There's that bleeding S. Is there another two? Two sides bleeding. The two governments. This would be better. 2830. Oops. 2830. 2830. Let's see what we get.
The British Navy did nothing. And finally, when word made it across the planet, informing the two governments of
This is a better one. This is a much better two sound. Let's go right over.
Two of a number. Two of a number. By the letter. Two. Letter. Two of a number.
All right. And let's get the and. And I think there's an and the in here somewhere. And then I want and the. Here we go. 1355. 1355. 1355.
Griffin went to one of his Hawaiian shepherds and said, "Hey, I'm making you a constable. Put on this badge."
Was that 30? Oh, 3335, I think is what we meant. 3335. That was it, right? Yes, 3335. That's what we wanted.
For this, I hate you. I've always hated you. Harney had not only ordered Pickett back onto the island, but his department even notified the British that it did not recognize.
3355? Did I go a little too far before? 3355. 33.
Command and sent him elsewhere. In Harney's absence, the joint occupation went ahead, and the
There we go. Whew, sometimes I misread the numbers.
and the
All right, and the.
This video was possums by the letter to the number
Letter 2 and the number.
and the number and the number and the number and the number.
There we go. And if we don't get a good D sound, we could do another letter of the alphabet. We'll just stick with D for now. It's a placeholder, and we can probably make it to an N. We can make it to a C, anything. So that's how we got this going. Let's go back to the nice idea, Vertaro. Let's go back to this that we were working on.
Two sides met in Paris to settle the conflict by playing Among Us.
Now, by playing Among Us. Now, I wonder if the word eventually is here. Eventually. Eventually. 3440.
Harney, despite being a Southerner, remained in the U.S. Army, but was eventually.
Okay. Eventually something. Eventually something. That's how that can continue here. Eventually something happens.
Conflict by playing Among Us.
Eventually.
Eventually.
All right. Eventually. Now, I wonder if there's some buzzwords from the game that can work, like imposter. No imposter. Well, we know the word sus can be created. That's an easy one. So, eventually what? We can even replace the word eventually with something else. Eventually, or something else that's tied to Among Us. Imposter. Well, killed is there. We can grab one of the, let's see, 3446. Let's see if we can grab a name that we can plop in. 3446.
Was eventually removed from command at St. Louis when his loyalty to the Union came under suspicion. More famously, Captain Pickett. Captain Pickett.
Captain Pickett. We can just grab that name. It's be a placeholder name for now. We can always edit it into something else. Any good jokes that we've got. Let's see.
Austin Powers. Was eventually.
But eventually, let's see. But eventually, right. Let's just put this over here. That's a good way. Sauce. Let's see. I think the word sus is pretty much guaranteed to appear in this part of the poop. Let's see. Sus. Too sus. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the safest way to go. Not became, was no. Was too, no. Was too, no. Okay, so let's just find a was. There was that too. But the U.S. something. Hey, what's going on, Gilstrom? Welcome in. So we have a good lead-in for an Among Us joke. We're just trying to think of the punchline here.
The two sides met in Paris to settle the conflict by playing Among Us. Eventually, Among Us.
By playing Among Us. And we can think of a good way that we can like use a buzzword from it, like sus, for example. Like that was starting to become clear to me. That might be the most optimal way of doing it. I'm sure that may be getting old, but for whatever reason, I never get tired of it. Yeah, I think that, I mean, the opportunity presented itself. It's impossible not to, take an opportunity like that. I don't think it's too old. Ultimately, I mean, it may be maybe what, it's 6 years old at this point, 4 years old if you're counting when it really peaked, but it's still going to be referenced everywhere. So I don't consider it too old. So let's see what we get here. But heck, we could even make it a reference to the Civil War. The harder G sound there actually makes it sound funnier. Yeah, you know, it's funny, when I was making the word, I thought that the N sound would be the much more natural sounding word, in like the more natural sound in that, but it still worked. And the harder G sound, yeah, like it's because a lot of people, what they'll do is they won't say among us, they'll say among us. So that's where that harder G comes up. So anyways, let's see. There was the, let's see, 3512. Let's grab the was the 3512. Oh, meant me saying the "Oh, Captain, my Captain." Oh, okay, I see. Oh, gotcha. No, it's not getting old. You're perfectly fine on that front.
Side of the Confederacy, there was the Trent Affair. There was the
Now you're cool, man. I mean, I admire a Walt Whitman reference anytime. Here we go. Here we go.
Among Us.
And then we'll grab the but the. No. 757. Nice. 757. So I'm wondering if it is possible to make, like... So I've heard this thrown about, like the word sussy baka. And I'm thinking maybe that could be a good word, or a good way to lead into it.
Operations. But the Americans.
Yep. I like that. But the Americans were sussy bakas. And baka, by the way, Japanese word, I think for idiot or something like that.
Conflict by playing Among Us.
But the Americans were sussy bakas. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I think that the best way that we can make that word is by doing a...
The two sides.
Sussy baka was all over the place a few months ago. It's perfect timing. Okay, perfect. You know, it's funny. The first time I heard sussy baka was from... So there's a service where you can have a celebrity say whatever you want on camera in a microphone for you. It's like a one sentence or something, or 30 seconds, however long it is. And, of course, you pay them to do it. And the character that plays Hank in Breaking Bad was commissioned to say, "Oh, Walt, you're a sussy baka." That was the first instance I heard of it. And I think it was like last year. So that's where I learned that. If it's coming into form, if it's becoming perfect now, I think it's... it sounds a lot less dated than Among Us by itself. Let's see, 103.
The two sides met in Paris to settle the terms. Among various things, they discussed.
There's a sound that's...
Discussed America.
Ah, man, that's too loud of a background noise. All right, well, what else is there? Completed a search of a document. That's the only instance of the... All right, well, in that case... Let's see if SUS. Suspicion. That'll work even better, actually. So 3446. 3446 to get the word suspicion. We are turning this source into Swiss cheese, I tell you. 3446. And yes, baka is essentially a very disrespectful way to call someone stupid. Apparently, anime plays a lot with it, a lot more than real life. I remember a clip of Azumanga, or I don't know, it wasn't a clip, but just a compilation of someone from Azumanga Daioh, the source that Gaibu-chan loves to use, of one of the characters just saying it loudly and over again. And I think it was just capturing every instance of when she said it on the show. But I have never heard it outside of that show, to be honest. Well, outside the show, except when it's referenced by anime lovers, and in this case, sussy baka.
From Commandant St. Louis, when his loyalty to the Union came under suspicion. Suspicion.
Sus. Is there another? No. Just for fun. All right, let's just do that. SO word. Sasibaka. I think this is going to be better. Southern. Yep. 3506 will probably be the best SO for the word sussy. 3506.
The British, missing their supply of southern cotton.
There we go.
Southern.
The word southern. I think it's got a good hang on the vowels.
Of Paris. Guns, but the American.
Let's just fix this real quick. I think it's got to be plural.
Americans.
Yeah.
So.
And then we'll reverse.
Sus.
And then let's see if we can get SSY in here. No SSY. What about SY? Syrup. Nah. Easy. I think easy will share a similar sound here. Easy. Controversy. I like controversy better. I like controversy better. 2005. 2005 is where we want to be. 2005.
American on American soil and trying him under British law. Now that's controversial.
Wait. Okay.
And it's a controversy.
C. Yeah. I like this because it's not a very, like, it's not emphasized. It needs to be a softer C. Because you would never, like, I can't think of any instance where a word that ends in SY, the SY gets the emphasis.
Sussy.
Make it a little longer.
Sussy.
I think that sounds a little better. There we go. And now the baka. Now baka, ba. Okay, it's almost like it's a soft O sound. Baka. Let's start with a BO. About starts border. It's long O. Long O, long O, long O, long O, bo, long O. Lots of long O sounds in this one. We might have to go to a soft A after all. Boring, boom, boats, border. Yeah, let's just do soft A sound. Bad combination. Thanks to you this last couple of weeks on random intervals, I've been saying things like, this show is horrible, so God sent a huge flood that killed Adam and made a new Adam. I was actually thinking of, if I could make the video a little bit longer, there would be another type of joke that I would add. It would be God sent a huge flood to kill Adam, and then he sent a huge flood to kill the flood. I thought about doing something like that. I'm probably going to do it in the next installment of the Blibble. But I love that joke, especially the first time. It's like, God created Adam. Adam created the NFT. So God sent a huge flood to kill Adam, and he remade Adam. Oh, man. Let's see here. Felt bad. Back. So one thing I know for sure is that when you have a BO word, if it's a double consonant that follows the vowel O in this case, it will be a soft O most of the time. So, ball, I don't think that we're going to get anything on the word B-O-L-L. I would have friggin' died if you did that. The running gag was already destroying me. I'll figure out a way to... I'll keep the running gag going. I'll keep it going. Oh, wait. B-O-M, maybe. No, there's no B-O-M. B-O-C? Ba. Let's try B-O-T. Botched. No, both. No, but I think we're probably going to get our best option from just scanning all of these BO words and trying to find that soft O sound. Worst case scenario, we find another way to splice it. Border, both, boy, bore, man, boys, border, and I think it just started from, yeah, it started from the beginning. So what we might have to do is get a little experimental here. So P-O. Let's see what we get. Point, pos, baka. So the word baka. Ak. Let's try and find the word ok, a word that ends in OCK. There are... Oh, that's why. OCK. Rockies. Okay. Beyond the Rockies. Okay. The rock is going to get the emphasis. So R might bleed. Let's give it a shot nonetheless. 454. 454. It was 54, right? Guess we'll find out.
Is NordVPN. What the fuck? Do you like giving strangers your passwords to?
I think I went a little too far. 454.
Seemed vital to the beaver business. So when it came to the question of what would happen to the border beyond the Rockies, Rockies,
It's almost like it's got an R. It's like an AW sound. It's baka, not baka. Baka. Okay. So, ok. This one has word block. I wonder if the... Oh, but the emphasis would be on the word road and not block. Unlock. 632. Unless unlock. Let's listen to this one anyways.
unlock content that's been blocked. You can even unlock content that's been blocked in your
Yeah, neither one of those sounds good. Let's try these flocks. Flocks. Shock. 1524. Let's see. 1524. All this for one word.
the American government, who were shocked to hear what had been.
Oh man, why does the sound effect have to be there?
Who were shocked to.
Alright, let's find another one. Laughing stock. By the way, you have the option to say baka, because that's the way many people say. Oh, do I really now? Baka, intentionally. Sussy baka. Okay. In that case, thank you, Gelstrom. There we have it, the word back. People will love this. So 2210. 2210. 2210.
Reinforcements, and we fight back. Back.
I like the way he sounds. Like if there was a little less noise, I would have loved it. I would love it more.
Back.
It might still work. We just need the
By playing Among Us, but the Americans. Sussy.
Ooh.
Sussy. Sussy. Sussy.
Let's fix this real quick.
Sussy.
There we go.
Back.
Okay. Back us. I think that the word us is going to be the best. Us. Oh, wait, better yet. The word because. Because you have to see the hard K sound from the because. And then the 2303. 2303. Let's see what we can get.
Hold on. What you tell me to bring flowers for? Because. Cuz, Pickett. Cuz.
Let's see how it sounds.
Back.
This ought to be... The more exaggerated it's said incorrectly, generally, the better. Well, then, I think this is going to be really incorrect sounding, but let's find out.
Back. Cuz. Back. Cuz. Back. Cuz. Sussy. Back. Cuz. Sussy. Back. Cuz.
I think we need a stronger C. This is almost too soft.
Sussy. Back. Cuz.
I mean, there are times during this video where he gets really into what he's saying, almost like he's almost to play the character. So, let's just look for the word see. Seeing British ships. I think that'll work. See, because what I'm finding is that a lot of times these two-syllable words he's merging to make one-syllable words. So I'm thinking that when I listen to this word, he's not going to say seeing. He's going to say seeing. And that can help us here because we can probably get some good mileage off of this C as a result. 2547. 2547.
He did send one more ship for good measure. Captain Pickett, now seeing the
Yes.
British.
Like I thought.
Seeing the
It can even be used for the word sing.
Seeing the British. Seeing the.
And I mean, this will work by itself for so many things. In fact, let me try something as well. Let's see what sounds better.
Sussing.
There we go. I like this sussy a lot better. Requires less legroom. It's less of a Frankenstein's monster.
Sussing back huzz.
And I think we need to make this a little slower.
Back huzz.
To make the ka sound, I'm going to need to...
Back huzz. Back huzz. Sussing back huzz.
There we go. Sussy backas.
Sussing back huzz.
And the... Let's see.
But the Americans...
Yes. All right, let's get were in here. And I'm going to add S. Forces were... There we go. 2649. 2649. $49, please. There we go.
Felt British honor itself was at stake, so he decided that if American forces were allowed,
There we go.
forces were.
And so the Americans were sussy backas. I like the way this is heading.
Americans is. This is where. This is where. This is where.
Get that right.
This is where.
Maybe a little fade out.
This is where.
That's better.
Americans is where.
Then trim this.
This is where. The Americans is where. Americans were.
That's better. Better.
The Americans were sussing back. Huzz.
So one more time.
The two sides met in Paris to settle the conflict by playing Among Us, but the Americans were sussing back. Huzz.
All right. I think there's a stronger K sound. Let's see.
Huzz.
Get rid of that.
Huzz. Back. Huzz.
That sounds better. Okay. So the Americans were sussy backas. And I think that we can add even more to this sentence to make it even... So the Americans were sussy backas. And the way that he's really ramping up his voice here, that could also lead into something. I would hate to leave all of this be. So let me listen to the tail end of this video because there might be... Because the tail end of the video, he really gets into like this bizarre character.
Biden's coming, baby. And this time, he's coming with a vengeance!
Alright. See what I mean? But it builds.
It attempted to arrest Pickett. We have the arms. It's our manifest destiny. Picture a future where American Mounties wear red, white, and blue and hail the stars and stripes.
Well, we'll think of something. I mean, there's so much that we can probably imagine. Man. So, the Americans were sussy backas in the game of Among Us. Now, kind of pivoting back to the project,
The two sides met in Paris to settle the terms.
Just
Among
covered this.
various things, they discussed American territorial gains, and the British granted them a generous amount.
Only suggestion I say is the audio of back versus us is a little off balance, so upping the volume of back or lowering it on us would balance it. Maybe a trim down on back us.
Seeing back huz. Back huz.
Too much.
Back huz.
That might do it. So I decreased gain by about 4 decibels. That should do it.
However, Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional fascination. Oh, Canada.
Yes. Yeah. So this is the part of the video that when I was listening to like its first few minutes, that it was really like getting to me how good of a source this could be. So we've got a lot of Canada opportunities, starting with this.
Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional fascination. Oh, Canada. So voluptuous.
So we can make all sorts of jokes from this.
And the British granted them a generous amount of land out west. However, Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional Benjamin Franklin.
The thing about Benjamin Franklin, though, I mean, we use Benjamin Franklin already.
Appeared to have an additional fascination. Oh, Canada. So voluptuous. You think we can maybe acquire some of that? Quit ogling our territory. So voluptuous.
So, Canada. Now we can use Austin Powers here. Because we have Austin Powers mixed right here.
Austin Powers. To have an additional fascination.
There's that little blip of sound.
Have an
Right about here. Let's see if we can just get that out.
An additional fascination.
All right.
Oh, okay.
All right.
To have an addition.
Now let's just make this a little wider. I want to get the however. Now this is not going to be the next sentence in this story. But Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an addiction. Ooh.
Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional.
Yeah, an addiction is a great word. Nice job, Dinner Warrior.
Addition.
We can make the word addiction really easily. Presumably. I wonder if action, yes. So we've got the word actions. What else do we have? Actions, jurisdiction. There we go. 1419. 1419.
By Whatcom County in Washington Territory, believed the island fell under their jurisdiction. Diction.
Let's grab that.
Diction.
Benjamin Franklin had an addiction to Canada. Austin Powers had an addiction to Canada. Which one would work?
Was eventually Austin Powers. Captain Pick.
in addition to Haruhi. Ooh, Canada. Ooh, if we can mix Haruhi. I thought about that. Let's see.
An addiction.
Let's see how we do here.
Addiction.
So Haruhi is a really hard word to sentence mix. I've tried, like, I remember during our deeper cut, like the very first deeper cut tennis, deeper cut somehow managed to mix the word Haruhi. He made it come out though Haruhi. Just goes to show how much of a laborious process it could be. But let's see what we can do. Because, I mean, we're mentioning Canada. And I was thinking about a way that we could incorporate Haruhi anyway. So the word hard would be the first thing I would look for. And it's not there. So an HAR word, any HAR word, William S. Harney. If we get the Haruhi. 2012. Let's get 2012.
Yes, Haruhi wins. That too from the second tennis. 2012 here.
That attracted the attention of an American general in charge of the Department of Oregon, one William S. Harney.
That's a perfect har for the Haruhi. Just like that. We are off to the races.
Nation. Oh, Canada. Addiction.
We have so many ways that we can piece. If we have Haruhi here, then we can piece this sentence together so many different ways. Haruhi has an addiction to Canada. Canada has an addiction to Haruhi. Benjamin Franklin has an addiction to Haruhi. Ben Franklin addiction to Canada, like you thought. Wow. So let's get this.
Harn.
Let's get rid of the N sound.
Harn.
Now, the word rue, the rue sound, troops. This is going to be the troops, foolproof, rue. Like the word troops appears, and the reason I'm laying off the word troops is I think that troops is going to give us a word with emphasis. I don't want emphasis. I want something like something that for rooting. Griffin's well known for rooting, and that's too much emphasis. So let's try R-U-E. No. All right, so let's try that again. R-O-O. Let's go through our options. American troops. Haruhi. Haruhi. Although, Foolproof. Foolproof might work out, actually. 2229. With troops, you can throw in the golden oldie of what? Oh my god. E3 2011. Konami Conference. Wow. That is a deep cut right there. That is a deep cut. It's possible to do. I feel like it's the kind of joke where I would need to directly use the audio from that E3 because it's not as widespread as something like Giant Enemy Crabs is. But man, I would love to make that kind of joke. Let's see if we can make it work in practice as soon as we get this. Rude is a good word. Yes. The only thing about rude is that it might have emphasis on it, but it's not even there. But there might be another R-U-B sound that it's got to be like. Well, let's see what we get with foolproof.
Could even invade Vancouver Island or British Columbia. It's foolproof. Proof.
This might work. The Konami E3 conference, yes. Dairanto, welcome. Dairanto DX. Yeah, the E3 conference of 2011, Konami, it was the last live conference that they ever did because it was such a shit show. It wasn't just the 1 million troops guy. It was, you had lucha libre wrestlers slapping each other on stage. It was in a conference room that looked like, it looked even worse than a high school auditorium. Think about that. You are one of the biggest gaming companies and you cannot afford to have your stuff on a decent stage. You also had other really ridiculous games like a Glee game. Plus, you had the Glee singers come out and sing it. Oh my gosh, that whole conference loaded with all sorts of problems. Hey, what's going on? Bat Hunter of Devon. Welcome on into the stream. Yeah, there's definitely no substitute for that, the way he says it. 1 million troops. Wow. And that's not even my favorite line from his part. My favorite line is, "This is not your typical hack and slash title. This is an extreme /title. And he pauses for effect. No one's laughing, and he says, not funny. It has to be seen to be believed. It really does. Seeing Jimmy Davis's announcement made me come back here. Yeah, I mean, Jimmy Davis has been feeling a lot of stress, like a lot of weight from a lot of things that have been going on. Like, a lot of the things he was talking about in the video as well are things that I felt before, especially back in the mid-2010s when I was trying to get my feet back on the ground with YouTube poop, and it didn't, it took me a while, of course. I don't know how long it will take for Jimmy. He's saying that he will probably make another YouTube poop again, but there are going to be people who are, just in the, wrong place, wrong time with their, with their lives, and I really hope that things get better for him. In any case, fantastic dude to hang out with. He was one of the best people to actually hang out with in New York City when he came by at conventions. I got to hang out with him for a little bit at Too Many Games in Philadelphia, as well as PAX East. PAX East, you should definitely get tickets for that if you can, because it's a fantastic conference. Same with Too Many Games if you're into that kind of thing. And even if you're just into just the regular scene, PAX East is just well worth it by itself. But yeah, I mean, Jimmy Davis is a fantastic individual, and I really hope for him the best.
Let's
see. This is almost like a guttural sound. It's so guttural. I mean, he's putting a lot of it's not emphasis, but it's chutzpah. That's the best way I can describe it. Yeah, I heard about Master Josh as well. I have not seen his video yet. Hopefully he comes back too. He's a long timer. A lot of YouTube creators have kind of, for lack of a better word, retired in the dark. No announcement video. No videos saying, hey, I need a break. It's just been a slow trickle and then almost nothing, and you don't hear from him again. That was the case with Krobo, and then he came back. And it's usually because they want to come back and they just don't know how to. They need to be in a better position in their life, and other times there are just so many other things that occupy their time. It's really tricky when it comes to a hobby such as this. Like, you see how much time I'm putting into just making a sentence, or even 2 sentences or 3 sentences. That's the kind of dedication that you do need for a lot of YouTube poops, and that's why some people settle for some fantastically edited videos that don't always have sentence mixing in them, like tennis matches, because often you're just slapping things onto a screen like a Jackson Pollock, and it works so well. All right, so ruse. Let's see if ruse works. No. Let's see. Rule, maybe. Ruhi. They made a great Fresh Prince collab together. I think it's called The French Prick of Hell's Lair. That video ultimately got me back into YouTube poops after all those years. It's good to hear. I mean, are you talking about Master Josh? I don't think I've seen that collab. If it is Master Josh, I definitely need to watch it again, because I've missed so many poops during my absence that I've had to take a lot of time to kind of get back into. Jimmy Davis was one of the first people I rediscovered when I got back into YouTube poops. So if it's a Master Josh collab, I will definitely watch it. Okay. Let's see. So if we want to think about the word haruhi, we could also do this another way. The word haruhi could be, yes, please watch it. It's amazing. I will. Let me actually just write that down. Watch the, what is it called? Fresh Prince collab. It's called The French Prick of Hell's Lair. I wonder if, so there was a creator, MTB710, who I remember used the Fresh Prince a lot in his videos. I wonder if he was the one who kind of inspired all of the Fresh Prince YouTube poops because he made a lot of Fresh Prince YouTube poops. I'll definitely watch it. I mean, when was it released? I'm curious. Is it one that I just missed in my absence, or one that I missed just because I just flat out missed it? Sometimes YouTube just doesn't show me things in my subscription feed, or at least everything in my subscription feed. Let's see. It comes at 32. 32.
Now to expand westward and conquer the rest of the continent. Rest of the continent.
That was too quiet, but I thought I heard something here.
And conquer the rest of the rest of the continent.
Hello. 2019. Okay, so it was before my return. That might be why I missed it. Yeah, I wasn't actively watching a lot of YouTube poops during that time, but all right, let's see. Let's see if the word protects. Actually, protects. I might be stretching here. 1554. 1554.
It's between us. Well, that would be a completely fair compromise that protects the interests of both parties. Fair compromise that protects the.
That might work.
Protect.
This might work. It's just a simple Rust sound. When I say haruhi, I don't always emphasize the ru.
Addiction. Hard.
Let's see how it sounds.
Hard.
Yeesh.
Hard.
I guess we'll have to keep it there. I'm gonna see what happens when we add the he. So we need a singular word he. So he said. So he said. So I don't. Let's see. Haruhi. The H sound is definitely there. When I think about the voice, like the narrator saying this, I don't envision the H sound being pronounced here. I think of him saying, so he said. MTB710 made the first YouTube poop I ever watched, which was the Brawl Taunts. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that was the one of like that Newgrounds animation. That was a really popular video. It made it to the front of the YouTube poop search list. Like when you back then in YouTube, you would search for YouTube poops by entering YouTube poop, and sometimes things would appear at the top. Brawl Taunts was one of the first MTB710 videos to do that, and that's what really got him. Like he was popular within community, but this got him even more popular. It was such an it's not a YouTube poop that you would typically find at the top of the charts, so to say. This he would do. Yeah, that's a classic right there. A lot of people probably got introduced to YouTube poop that way. I remember the thumbnail. Like back then, you could not choose your thumbnails, so I think that also had a lot to do with it. When he planted. Let's see if he appears in when he. 1717. 1717. Fantastic creator, MTB710.
I'll just build my cabin right in the middle of this British sheep run. I'm sure that won't make anyone mad. When he planted potato.
Yeah, that's another. Yep, it's not saying the word. He's not using the H sound. And he. I think that what we need is something that is going to insisted he pay up. I need to. He hated superiors. This might be the best one. So the word he starts the word, and this comes at 2037. 2037. 39.
He.
There we go. There's that H sound. That period before is going to be a big help for that.
He. Hard key. Hard key. Hard key.
I like the har. I like the he. We need to figure out the ru. If we can figure out the ru, possibilities endless. So, what is the answer? How do we get... Like, this is a 40-minute long video. There's got to be a sound the narrator makes that works. That's interesting. Court-martialed is... Alright, it's fine. Alright, so ruhi. Rahi. Maybe the word run. Or just gold rahi. Like, so I'm thinking to myself the word haruhi. Rahi. Ru. Ra. Maybe there's going to be some success if we focus on just the R and maybe something that sounds like it would be a long O sound or even a long U sound. 2440. 2440. There's got to be a sound that works somewhere. And by golly, we're going to find it. It's not often I get to sentence mix the word Haruhi so well.
James Douglas had already had Americans force him out of Oregon. They had threatened his position in Victoria during the Gold Rush. Gold Rush.
Root. Maybe. Well now. I love it. Galestrom, thank you, my man. 1730. So here's what I'm going to do.
Rush.
Let's pivot to 17. What was it? 1730. 1730.
Griffin's pig was a Berkshire, well known for rooting.
It works. It should work.
Rooting.
I mean, it's only got a little bit of emphasis.
Hard key. Hard key. Hard key. Hard key. Hard key.
Let me think. Okay, I need to be very, very repetitive here. I need to listen to this very carefully.
Hard key. Hard key. Hard key. Hard key. Hard key. Hard key.
A little bit more.
Hard key.
Right there.
Hard key.
There we go. I think we have a winner.
Hard key.
Haruhi. Let me dim the gain on this.
Hard key. Hard key.
Okay. I think that's going to be good. So, now that we've got the word Haruhi, let's get creative with this. Perhaps slowing down the root to 0.8. Lock stretch. This is set to lock stretch still, right? Okay, good.
Key. Hard key. Hard key.
I think that'll do it.
Hard key.
Sounds almost equivalent, but... Alright, so now we've got... Canada was in love with Haruhi and...
Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an additional fascination. Benjamin Franklin.
In fact, let's get... So we have Benjamin Franklin appearing. Let's see if we can splice a little bit.
Benjamin Franklin.
If we can make Benjamin Banklin. So we have Haruhi. We can leave this, use a joke for this.
Benjamin Franklin. 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 Franklin.
I love this strong B sound.
Franklin.
We can get this to work.
Franklin. 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 Benjamin Franklin.
Doesn't sound the way I thought, but it still is pretty nice.
Benjamin Franklin.
Might revisit this later on.
Haruhi. Addiction.
Had an addiction.
Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an
Franklin.
appeared to have an addiction.
Appeared to have an addiction.
Appeared to have an addiction. Appeared to have an addiction. An addiction.
Actually, no. I like the way it was before.
An addiction.
Appear to have an addiction.
To have an addiction. Appear to have an addiction.
Tighten the word a little bit.
An addiction. To have an addiction.
There we go. To Haruhi, and Haruhi had an addiction to Canada.
Additional fascination. Oh.
Let's see if we can get to him. All right, 1804. 1804. 1804.
Lyman, on the other hand, swore the local government had assured him his land claims were legitimate, and so to him,
Okay. Now, let's go to...
Austin Powers.
No, we don't need Austin Powers yet.
Franklin appeared to have an addiction. To Haruhi.
Let's see how well it does when merged.
To Haruhi. Have an addiction to Haruhi.
And Haruhi.
Benjamin Franklin. An additional fascination. Oh.
And then Haruhi appeared to have an addiction to Canada. $21.08 for our and learned.
In July 1859, when he happened to visit San Juan Island, and he learned of the plight,
That H sound being evident there, I love it.
this
Right over here.
Paris to Haruhi, and he
Let's trim it down so we get more H, less E.
and he Haruhi. And Haruhi.
A little bit more.
And Haruhi. Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an addiction to
And Haruhi appeared
and Haruhi appeared to have an addiction
to Canada. To cease to create 2250.
Southerner. I may be trying to create a diversion to help be trying to create create
Now this is a CR sound. I can trim it down so it gets more C, less R.
Benjamin Franklin. He appeared to have an addiction Diction. Benjamin Franklin. Canada.
Canada.
Canada. Canada. Addiction to Canada. Have an addiction to Canada.
No, the way he says Canada.
Canada.
Yeah. Whew. There we go. So overall,
Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an addiction to Haruhi and
ooh,
appeared to have an addiction to Haruhi. Haruhi. Addiction to Haruhi and Haruhi appeared to have an addiction to Canada.
there we go. That's much better sounding. That's much better sounding. Whew.
Benjamin Franklin. Additional fascination. Oh. So voluptuous.
Ooh, let's take this.
Oh. Canada. Oh. Canada. Oh.
I think that this is going to sound funny. Increase the pitch over 2 more repetitions, each one progressively getting a little bit higher. Yeah. It sounds a bit like he's saying infection without a slightly harder D sound.
Haruhi and Haruhi appeared to have an addiction.
With a slightly harder D sound.
Addiction. An addiction to can appeared to have an addiction to an addiction.
I hear addiction. I don't hear infection. I hear addiction. Let me listen to this.
An addiction to because
Because it comes from addiction. If I get a harder D sound, or better yet, if I
addiction have an addiction to an addiction to have an addiction to harm.
it sounds a little stronger, like addiction.
Appeared to have an addiction to harm.
That could work.
Haruhi appeared to have an addiction.
Let's see. Same thing over here.
Appeared to have an addiction to have an addiction to Canada. Oh,
It's like every time he says Canada, he's got a mouthful of crackers.
to Canada. Oh.
There we go. Now, let's see. Canada. The first instance of Canada. Let's see. Let's go right to the beginning. So voluptuous. You think maybe we acquire some of that quick oogling of territory? But look at those curves. I'd worry less about Canada's curves.
Of the United States. In response, Britain suggested that many in America should shut the hell up. Quit ogling our territory. But look at those curves. I'd worry less about Canada's curves and more about your own curves, Benjamin.
All right. Let's see. Let's see if we can make Canada a character and not just a country. Let's see. But Canada...
Those curves. I'd worry less about Canada's...
Yes.
About Canada's...
But Canada... Let's see. Let's expand the Haruhi Canada lore.
So voluptuous.
Thanks, Mike B. I mean, this is something that is a team effort here. Thank Gelstrom for the ideas as well.
Canada.
All right. No such item was found. Interesting. But what about K? Nope. Let's just get the word but then. Let's see. Let's see. 146. 146. 146.
Follow some existing borders, add in a few rivers and lakes, maybe even a parallel for good measure. But then there was a question. Parallel for good measure. But then
Canada.
But then there was
Canada.
eventually Austin Canada. But then Canada. Canada. But then Canada. But then Canada.
Let's see. Oh, wait. Oh. Hold on. I'm getting an idea. Hold on. Ooh. Let me for this to work. Flub. Let's see. FLU. Is there an FLU word? What about FLOO? Flood. If the word flood appears anywhere here, we can reference the prior video, the God made a huge flood. So what we can do is have Canada reject Haruhi or do something else like call her fat, and then have it say, so Haruhi made a huge flood that killed Canada, and she made a new Canada, like that. So it's really going to be reliant on the word flood being here, or something that we can make from the letters FL, flags, flocks, blood. And also, ooh, I wonder if the word blood appears. Yes, there's bloody. That's the only instance of the word blood. It's in bloody. That works. And bloody done it. So we can take an F and then make that. So 25.
Look at us, boys. We've only gone and bloody done it. Bloody.
If only there wasn't so much sound effects in the background. It might still work. I'm going to keep this in the back of my mind. I wonder what other good, stood, good. Yeah, I'm just going to get a lot of long O sounds. Unless bluff. Blue. Nah. Darn it. Alright, let's go back to bloody for a second.
Gone and bloody done.
We may still have a chance to do that.
But then Canada. Bloody.
Then we'll take, whoops, that's a thesaurus. Flood. Oh, that's right, there's no FLU, but FLO. Flocks. It's not, yeah. 1153 is where we'd find that. 1153. 1153 for what I hope to be a good start.
Sheep farm. They did. The place was rammed with sheep. 1,369 to be exact. But within those flocks.
That could work for the
Flocks of
start
woolly
of
cowards.
that could work for a start.
Were sussing back hus. But then Canada. Bloody. 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 Bloody.
So this might be this is going to be a stretch to get that word out in its current state. So But we do have FL, and the O sound can merge really well with that soft O that we need for UD. Spuddy? 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 Suddenly. Okay, 1816. Let's find out what Spuddy even is. 1816. It sounds like something he's doing in like a character voice. 1816.
Sick. Yeah, what a freak. Not like our love, Spuddy. Buddy. Buddy. Buddy.
Could be a stretch, but let's try it. Let's see what we get here.
Was the
Let's see.
bloody buddy bloody bloody
Wow.
bloody
Nice. It actually sounds like Flood.
bloody bloody
Let's get a little trim so there's less of an E at the end.
bloody bloody.
Yes. Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake for the rest of the sentence. So Haruhi made a huge flood. But Canada...
But then Canada.
Let's try called. Called on British 3523. 3523. Oops.
In commerce. When the Civil War ended, furious American politicians called on
It sounds like cold, but it will work because we'd be using it as a verb in the context of a sentence.
But then Canada cold
It sounds an awful lot like cold. Is there another called in here? Called into question 803. 803. 803.
didn't make sense to keep sharing Oregon when they outnumbered the Brits more than 6-1. And suddenly, the whole joint occupation deal was being called into...
He says it this way too. I've never heard that before. I've never heard that. Called, it's a long O sound. I've never heard that accent before. What accent does he have? And that's the only two instances. That's amazing. I've never heard that. All right. Let's see. There's no word fat. 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 All right. 610, 610.
At the fastest speed. The fast.
Fat. Here we go. I'll have to look up what accent that is. Is it Canadian? I mean, his English is really good. It's definitely like, what is that accent? That's gonna bother me.
Fat. Flood. Additional fast.
Okay.
But then Canada called
Haruhi fat.
an addiction to Haruhi.
Haruhi fat.
Canada called Haruhi. Canada called Haruhi.
little bit less. There we go.
Cold hard heat.
And
Then Canada cold hard heat.
that works. That's perfect. Right there. Fat.
Fat.
Let's see if we can get some more emphasis.
Heat fat. Heat fast. Heat fast.
I'm actually going to look for an... I'm gonna look for an at sound here. At. The reason is because I'm taking an FA sound that I think the S is going to bleed into. I want to elongate it just a little bit. So 709 at Fort at. Here we go.
Fort Vancouver. At Fort Van.
That's good.
At Fort.
Plus there's a little extra F if we need it.
Drinking.
Right over here.
Canada cold hard heat fat. At. Fat. 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 And a cold hard heat fat.
Let's see.
Fat.
That sounds better. So, and we need the word so haruhi. And so haruhi. That's a lot better. So 1136, 1136.
Hands. And so he came up with. And so he came up.
And so haruhi.
He fat.
And so.
And so he fat. And so he fat. And so he flood. The cold hard heat fat.
I'm not using a lot of pronouns here, but I feel like the use of pronouns wouldn't work as well. I love MTB 710 back in the day. He was actually my introduction to the Robotnik genre of YouTube poops. He made a lot of fantastic Robotnik YouTube poops.
Hard heat. So hard heat.
He is, thankfully, his videos are still up. His channel had gotten hacked and turned into some kind of, I don't know, Elon Musk NFT pusher, but thankfully they kept the videos up. Although I really hope that someone has them downloaded to make sure that they have, you know, they can still be re-uploaded. Heaven forbid the hacker decides to completely erase all prior existent. So, huge is in the first.
A huge discount of it, and get a huge discount. Flood. Flood. Flood.
There we go.
A huge.
Made a. Well, the word made is definitely here. So 210.
This, and the Mississippi wasn't here, but here. So in the end, none of that made even this. That made even the.
Is there another one? Sounds like matey. And the guy who made it. That might work better.
The slightest bit of sense. Don't blame the founding fathers. They were just using the best map available. Blame the guy who made it. But who made it? Who made it? Made it. Made it.
No, not this one. Was made. This one sounds better. 422. 422.
Destiny. But America wasn't the only one interested in controlling the Western territories. At the time, Canada was made up of a
So how he made a huge flood that.
Canada called Haruki at, and so Haruki made up a huge made a huge made a huge made a huge Haruki made a huge made a huge
See here.
made a huge made a huge
There we go.
flood.
I have favorites like Captain 6 who would do really creative jokes nobody else at the time would think to do. Back then, a lot of YouTube poop was just basic reverse edits and maybe a funny bleep to swear. I mean, a lot of the inspiration I had came from, you know, a lot of those guys who were, you know, they kind of pioneered what you could edit back in the day, and a lot of it was pretty simple, and I wanted to do things that just, you know, I wanted to take the next step. So, I mean, there are still a lot of people that make those simple jokes, but they're effective. They're sometimes really, really good. Sometimes they can afford to be a lot better. But for the most part, I mean, I really, really appreciate you saying saying that my stuff was that good. I mean, I always love it when people love my stuff like that. I mean, Deeper Cut, Krobo, all those creators were fantastic influences.
Haruki made a huge flood. And so Haruki made a huge flood.
That killed Canada. I still go to a lot of those old videos because there's still a lot of gold in them. That cow crap, yes. Is there a previous one? In that case... Yeah, I guess that's all there is. Alright. That cow. 1217. Let's see here. 1217. Here we go.
Or no, roll around in that cow crap. Roll around in that.
Here we go. Arguably, Deeper Cut's earliest videos were in that random silly meaningless mode. That's why I subscribed, but he started improving a lot. So a lot of his, yeah, I mean, a lot of YouTube poop edits back then that were really popular were easy to make edits that you could just throw censor bleep over, maybe remix a thing here or two in a clever way. But I think where Deeper Cut really shone is the choice of sources, because back then people were using CDI, they were using, of course, your Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, they were using your Super Mario Brothers cartoons and all that, and very few would use alternative sources like anime or Saturday morning shows that chances are you grew up with at the time, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And there were a lot of clever jokes in those videos that Deeper Cut made, largely because the sources were like, they kind of forced you to think differently. He did really improve, like, because he's made like new versions, so to say, of those sources. Like, obviously the Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube poops, the first one and the latest one that he did, like night and day. But there's still a lot of stuff in both of them that works out really well. But you can tell that the second one is so much more, so much more professionally thought out. I guess that's the best word for it. Like, it's more creative. It's more creative, I should say. Like, it doesn't need to use censor bleeps. It uses so much great sentence mixing. And the joke with the elevator closing is always going to be my favorite.
That flood. That. And that.
Let's see.
And that.
Here we go.
Canada cold Haruhi at, and so Haruhi made a huge flood. And that. A huge flood. And that.
Get rid of that N sound.
And that. Huge flood. And that.
That killed
Of
Canada.
Paris. Sides met in Paris to settle the conflict by playing Among Us.
The word killed. Let's see.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, the far's worst soul power.
Revenge of the Bad Man being his sort of magnum opus was fitting. It was meant to be like, it wasn't meant to be like his magnum opus. It was meant to be one of many great videos that he was working on in this incredible style. And unfortunately, what ruined a lot of the fun for him were trolls at the time that were falsely claiming copyright and having the video repeatedly taken down. It made YouTube much more volatile. You didn't know who was going to be, taken down next, and no one was safe from it. So, I mean, he got like a lot of the joy taken out from that, and understandably so. I mean, if people are going to do that to you, you're always going to have a target on your back. Why bother creating if what you put up is always going to be taken down? Oh man, but Mad, fantastic video, and it inspired so many Spider-Man YouTube poops. I love it. I feel like Deeper Cut mainstreamed use of Sonic X as a source. That's another thing he did. Yes, Sonic X. That was definitely his main source in the 2007 days. I remember Revenge of the Mad Man being the best YouTube I'd seen at the time. Like, that video is so fantastic, and it's like, oh man, he was really excited when he was making that. Like, I remember being on Skype, and he would kind of share with me all the things that he made. Like, I remember one instance where he shared the splice of J. Jonah Jameson saying, "YouTube poop scare sweeps city," and it was a perfect splice. It's perfect for the source. It really was. Hey, what's going on? Let's see if I can say this right. Bingler Dangle. Hey, first time knowing you had a live stream, knowing about you and the classics for over a decade now. YouTube poops changed my sense of humor forever, and I love you, hate you, love you lately. Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's changed my sense of humor dramatically as well. But I'm glad that you and I are liking that. I'm so glad you enjoyed everything. Now, but seriously, I love this stuff. Even made a few of my own. Ooh, post them. I mean, I'll take a look at them. And one of them, of course, oh man, it got claimed. Well, I mean, if you still have ads running on, if you have ads running on it instead, that's good. I really hope that there's that at least. But thank you so much for joining the stream. Yeah, I've been trying to do these streams as often as I can. Thank you so much for joining. Darento DX, stuff like Sonic X and Resident Evil 4 made me subscribe to Deeper Cut years ago. The thing that made me subscribe was, I sometimes say that YouTube poop humor doesn't always have a punchline. It's just flat out funny. Static Shock, the ripoff of Electro, is my all-time favorite from him. It's 2007 era humor. You still have censor bleeps, so not everything is mixed out. But the baby, and the political time is just, it's gold. It's absolute gold. And you can't write this stuff. It's something you have to feel as you create. Just as when you make when you make a YouTube poop, like, you can have an idea for a joke. But very often, the best ideas are going to come to you when you're in the process of making other jokes and you realize that you can make something out of this. It doesn't make any sense, but it's so gosh darn funny you can't ignore it. I feel like that's what he did with that joke, with that section right there. Like, it's so goddamn funny. I remember watching Revenge for the first time off of YouTube. I remember back in the day. But I lost them all, and they were incredibly bad. Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, you were probably not the only one who had a channel taken down by Viacom, who was ruthless to the point where you couldn't use any source from them safely, or you almost couldn't use any source from them safely unless it was dramatically altered to be completely unrecognizable in audio and visuals. But, yeah, man, I would have loved to see them. Speaking of Sonic, YouTube poop edit, I was surprised I never saw the edit of the Sonic X theme, faster, 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 Sonic X, and then do a Jaj on X, so it says sex. You know, I feel like I've seen that before. I think someone's done that. I think May AIDS did that. But the thing about May AIDS videos is that you can barely find all of them because he never kept his videos and his channels up. He always canceled them or closed them, and with that, all the videos get lost. I think May AIDS made a joke like that. Yes, my main YouTube poop series was SpongeBob, so yeah, they came knocking when the massacre started in 2009. I mean, they were knocking for a long time after that. That's what made it so hard to use that source. You were always putting yourself at risk. That's the reason why when I used SpongeBob, I used the video game SpongeBob, because Vicam cannot claim that. And I think that the video game was even better than the cartoon, even because it was so much more ridiculous in the animations and the voices and the jokes like that you can make from that. I could still make jokes from that. I could probably pop it up and see what else I could do. But there were so many people who loved using SpongeBob because it struck a, it hits them in the heart using that source. People poop what they love, and people love SpongeBob. What's not to love? It's so sad to see that a lot of those videos were taken down at the time. They're on the channel. You're my man. Lost. Oh darn, you lost the password. But the first one is non-friendly language in the background. Famous key. All right. I mean, I'm not gonna watch them on stream just because YouTube takes up a lot of. Because YouTube, when you run YouTube for some odd reason on the stream, it will take up a lot of my RAM. It will slow everything down. I noticed. That's the reason why when I have my web browser up and I do have to go to YouTube, I quickly get out of it as soon as I can, because the moment that my YouTube lingers for that long, it slows the stream down. It creates choppiness. So I would gladly watch it. So. You're my man. Let me just write that down. That's another thing I should watch after this stream is done, which is a little less than a half hour, actually. You're my man. I'm glad that you were able to re-upload them. I'm half black, though, so that kind of stuff makes me laugh, and I don't care if anyone else laughs, too. Also, this can't wait a month, exactly. I mean, the thing is that even if, I hate to say that I used the hard N-word as much as I did. I mean, back then I didn't think too much about it, because usually I used it just to try and use shock humor more than, anything else. Hence why a lot of the jokes that I made were sex jokes. But I guess that's an N-word pass that you have. It's all fine. It's cool to have someone I watch forever acknowledge it. Yes. Cortez, he was another person who made a lot of great SpongeBob YouTube poops. Fry Cook Gay Games was one of those ones that was immediate. Yes, so the Fry Cook Gay Games, he made that one. He also made one of the let's see, the Graveyard Shift episode. I remember one of the jokes has Squidward say, "So long, fuckers. I have a hot date with Mr. Krabs." And that was one that was always a favorite of mine, because it was like the same kind of style that I employed, where you have a joke a second almost. Yeah, Cortez was an absolutely sad loss. Hey, what's going on? Do not remove this seal. How's the poop going? It's going fantastic. I'll take a pause of what I'm talking about. Listen to this.
At the end of the Revolutionary War, the United States invaded Great Britain by shooting Paris. However, Benjamin Franklin, the 7th Earl of Chissingham, says he encountered a farting butt whose farts were so powerful it killed Benjamin Franklin of the United Britain of Paris.
That's just a taste. There's so much that's been done on stream. Oh man. But yeah, Cortez, his videos, fantastic, and he was one of the better SpongeBob YouTube poop creators of that time. I think actually it was because of him that I guess for lack of a better word, the more crabs, the face that he makes when he says more, and the Squidward that almost looks like something out of a creepypasta became really, really popular. He had a lot to do with that. He helped to make it even more popular than it was. Lots of his stuff is still on YouTube, thankfully. Good. Are you open? Am I open? Well, I would think so. For business? Oh, that, yes, from the scene from the video. There's a YouTube poop where Squidward says oh man, Squidward says tickle my tits. Which video is that? What episode does he even say the word tickle? Cortez was great at having a joke as second memorable videos. He certainly was. And the cool part is that, you know, he did such a good job at influencing like a lot of people to use SpongeBob as a source. It was already a popular source. Cortez really showed what you could do with it, what else you could do with it. Still haven't found a re-upload of Crobo's Family Guy YouTube poop. Ooh. I didn't know that Crobo had made a Family Guy YouTube poop. Did he? Hold on. How old is this video? Because I remember so many old Crobo videos. Was this like before 2008? Like maybe before summer 2008? Because I remember some of his older stuff. I didn't know he made a Family Guy YouTube poop. Yeah, there are some Crobo, but there are some Crobo videos, a lot of them that have a hard R sound. He wasn't the only one that did it. He was like one of so many that, I mean, at the time, like the 2000s era was it was so easy to kind of get away with that. Now it's a lot harder because you really got to have a joke. And even now I look back at all the times that I've made like shock references instead of shock jokes. And I really wish that I had done a lot better of a job to make it more funny instead of just trying to shock. But that was just the way that YouTube poops were a lot of the time. I can't remember the name, but it was from the Tentacles, like was a master class of sentence mixing, like 2 or 3 words. Yeah. Like I've heard mixes that turned it into Squidward testicles, especially during the one with the snail race where they mispronounced his name.
He made a huge flood in that.
Alright, we need to get the word killed. Let's see if we can end, I just killed your pig, 19. Right at the 19-minute mark. Yeah, I mean, there was still so many great videos, and the Crobo Memorial channel has a lot of them. Maybe the Family Guy YouTube poop is there. Because a lot of those videos only have like, a lot of those old Crobo videos on the Memorial channel only have like 300 or so views, only in the hundreds, triple digits. Chances are it's up there and people didn't realize it.
Look, I kind of just killed your pig.
Around 2014 or so, there was this YouTube pooper that had only clean humor. So The Things is, I think that is The Things, because she still makes YouTube poops, and her YouTube poops are, they're completely clean. So much so that when I played tennis with her back in 2000 and 2001, my big concern was, should I have some profanity, or should I completely adopt the way that she does things to make it work a lot better? And you know, there is still some profanity, like there was some profanity in my videos, but ultimately I try to keep it to the Things theme, and she didn't mind, thankfully. But yeah, The Things is one of the very few clean YouTube poopers that does a great job at just having jokes. I mean, people forget that you don't need to have like swear words or blue comedy. You can just make really good, funny jokes in YouTube poops using great sentence mixing.
Made a huge flood in that.
See if I can adjust this a little.
That killed. Huge flood that killed. Flood that killed.
The Things went soft, unclean around 2016. I think. I thought that she kind of started doing that in like 2012. I could be wrong. Yeah, those of us who grew up in the 90s in the suburbs had a different reaction to the N-word. Yeah, I can't explain it, but when PewDiePie said it accidentally, I know exactly what went through his mind. I think that overall, there's so much. I think that there was like I don't know how to explain it, but the efforts to use that word in a non-offensive way maybe got a little bit more of a pass back then than they do now. And that might just be because when you use any kind of shocking material in humor, like, you really do want to have a joke, because otherwise you're kind of making yourself look terrible. Now, in the case of YouTube Poop, I think that the idea was you're not the one saying it, it's the characters that are becoming deranged or just ill will or something like that. So I think that's where a lot of people got away with it. Like, a lot of people, like, I don't use the word, obviously, but I don't think I ever used the word in the past. And I use it quite a few times in my videos. You've done a tennis with the things? Yeah, absolutely. I've done a tennis with the things. Round one was started by her. Shoot, I have a playlist. Like, search the playlist, Captain Pan 6 versus the Things, or something like that. There was a little era where she was trying to move away from intentional focus on having clean jokes. If that was during 2016, if it wasn't during 2012 or 2014, that just shows how much I've missed. Yeah, the Unravel tennis. Just finishing watching that. I have Photoshop Buzzwood saved on my phone. That's great. Oh, man. I rewatched your Deeper Cut tennis the other day. Still pretty fantastic. I'm glad you think so. I think it still holds up as well. Both of them, really. The second one more so, because the first one you have all sorts of decompression that just comes with me having to use a very old version of a YouTube downloader that did not do a very good job at keeping the video the quality that I wanted. And that was especially true the more that we downloaded each other's volleys, for lack of a better word. Squidward the Unfriendly Ghost was the EP name. He says, tickle my fancy on-demands. Okay, I think I remember that line now. It's been a while. I think for many of us who weren't surrounded by racism when we were young, the N-word became sort of a general expletive until we were older and started understanding its broader meaning. I totally agree. Like, I think you and I kind of grew up, Gail Sturman, I think you and I kind of grew up in a very a similar kind of setting. Like, I did have, like, I'm in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, which you don't find many mixed race communities. Usually, especially in the more rural counties, it's predominantly white. So for that reason, like, a lot of the things that get spread around are just things that you hear, but you don't think about ever offending someone because you're not the target. And you definitely do think about it when you do have someone who would normally be a target around you. You do think twice about saying that, unless, of course, they're, like, cool with it and they just know that you're just messing around. But you really have to form a bond with that person before you kind of get that pass or that go-ahead. And that's the case for anybody, really. You don't ever want to make that mistake. And it's really, it's really easy to not make that mistake when there aren't any people of that demographic around you. So, yeah, to your point, I mean, that general setting will have a huge influence on it. That's why I always took it as random characters just say the worst shit out of nowhere and it makes it funny. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it was intended to be, at least in my mind. Like, I was not trying to promote it. I was just trying to make the characters say it in this more deranged world, this deranged setting that YouTube Poop has created for it. Deeper Cut Tennis Tubes was part of my childhood. Same with YouTube Poop, You Fool. I love You Fool so much. You Fool was, funny enough, it was made in like a day. It was a video that I saw on YouTube of Gilbert Gottfried completely taking over the show Hollywood Squares, and it was so funny. It made me laugh, and it made me laugh making the video. And I'm glad that it's now part of kind of like my YouTube Poop lexicon. Never really took offense. To be fair, unless the creators showed themselves, you wouldn't know their race, so why even bother getting offended? I don't know, it's just my taste. It's okay. I mean, I'm glad that you weren't offended. I do feel concerned that someone is going to watch my video and be offended because they don't have the context. But then again, it's really hard to present that kind of context to someone who's really unfamiliar with YouTube Poop. So I'm not, I'm not 100% worried. I still am worried. I'm not going to take my videos down for that reason, because I think that if someone does get offended, I do have the ability to explain what was going on. Plus, if I take it down, someone will just re-upload it. Grew up in Connecticut. Must be a northeastern thing. I think, yeah. No, PewDiePie is Swedish. PewDiePie, I think, grew up in Sweden, moved to the States. But yeah, you grew up in Connecticut, New Jersey, so that general northeastern thing, yes. It's 3 a.m. It's morning. It's 3 a.m. Damn it, Sam. I really hope the neighbors know what 3 a.m. is.
He made a huge flood that killed
Canada.
Canada cold. Killed Canada.
It's funny. This kind of reminds me of, oh my god, you killed Kenny.
Flood that killed Canada. Killed Canada. Killed Canada.
Ah, yes, Europe doesn't have the same reaction to N-word either. I mean, probably in different parts of Europe. I mean, Europe is, like, you're going to find all sorts of demographics in places you wouldn't expect. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know the first thing about what would be allowed and what wouldn't. What's Haruhi's problem with Canada anyway? You know what? I don't really know. It's just the way that she says Canada in that episode is so perfect. It had to be used in a YouTube poop. And that's how Haruhi Farts developed the Canada joke. I'm sure that there is some kind of storyline that I can create here, like I'm doing right now. And now let's see. Replaced. How about just the word replace? What kind of thesaurus entry do we have for replace? Oh, I don't need to replace. I could just made a new Canada.
Then Canada called Haruhi fat, and so Haruhi made a huge flood that killed Canada. Haruhi
and she made a new Canada. She says so immensely enthusiastically. Yes. Canada salty Kion. Well, Canada in this lore is just so, I don't know, it's so ambiguous. It's either a thing that Haruhi loves, it's a thing that Haruhi despises. I just want to keep that connection. It's just funny to hear her shout Canada over footage of war being waged. Yes. Just the way that she says in general. I mean, Wendy Lee, fantastic voice actress, totally got the character of Haruhi correct. And that one segment, I think she has, like, it's not bad. First things first, it is not bad. And I can totally imagine Haruhi voicing the word Canada just like that. Let's see. The word made. Wait, I used the word made recently.
Benjamin Franklin appeared to have an addiction to Haruhi. Have an addiction. Addiction.
I'll have to fix the addiction part. I think I know what I can do.
And Haruhi appeared to have an addiction in Canada. Oh. In Canada.
I need to fix this for sure.
You can. Addiction to Canada. Oh.
Like,
Canada.
I'm gonna get rid of the extra consonant.
Canada. Oh. Addiction to Canada. Addiction to Canada. Oh. But then Canada called Haruhi fat, and so Haruhi made a huge flood that killed Canada. And
I think it's funny if Canada is completely innocent and never did anything to Haruhi. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I think the Haruhi, like, depending on the poop, the Canada lore will always change. At this point, they're just connected at the hip, Canada and Haruhi. Considering how batshit she is, her simultaneously loving and hating it fits in every canon. Totally agree. I see the Haruhi Canada jokes are still going strong. You got that right. Fire, fire, fire.
That killed Canada and
Let's see. I wonder if she made... Nope. Does the word she appear? Darn. Oh, but sheep will appear. Eventually showed their sheep farm. So 3630. 3630.
Sam. By this time, Charles Griffin had already left the island, and the Hudson's Bay Company eventually sold their sheep farm. The
interesting thing is that
sheep.
Sometimes I join a lot of communities that have to do with Haruhi, like on Discord or Reddit, and people recognize me as not just the YouTube poop guy, but the Canada guy, which I think is really funny. Holy sheep, yes.
Sheep. And sheep.
Made see, made. I'll just take the word made from here. I can't explain why I would feel sad if you ever stop putting Haruhi as some kind of sad reference. I mean, yeah, the thing is that Haruhi is just, it had a huge impact on me when I was younger. It is my all-time favorite anime, and I'm never going to let go of it. So, the Haruhi jokes will continue.
This video was made possible.
And the cool part is that, like, a lot of people got inspired to use Haruhi as a source in their video. A lot of people were introduced to Haruhi through my videos, and they watched it, and they thank me for introducing them to it because they absolutely love it. And little things like that are just really gratifying to me.
She made
a new Canada. There we go. 751. Haruhi is kind of like the Jaj of the channel, I think. Maybe. Jaj is definitely CS 188's calling card. Haruhi could be mine for all I know. And, like, if I hadn't found that show, then the person who I have to thank for introducing me to that show, by the way, would be Mr. Simon, who used it in one of his tennis matches, or at least the serve of the tennis match used it, but Mr. Simon remixed it into some kind of song, and I had to find the source, so I sought it, watched it, and loved it. I was in animation school when Haruhi came out. I could write a thesis about how that anime is the single most defining anime of that era. I could argue for Gurren Lagann, but for me, Haruhi trumps. I can make that argument too. The thing about that anime is that it poses not just as a criticism, but also as a parody of other anime at its time. 751.
And the other Hudson's Bay traders at Fort Vancouver were ordered to relocate north to a new bay.
The thing about that show is that it's not just about other anime, it's about media and its effect on individuality, especially teens, and it makes this really interesting love story about it. I hear Mr. Simon, and all I hear is I'm fat and I'm naked. Just been to the gym, I'm fat, I'm knackered, and I suck at YouTube poop, so get used to it.
She made a new Canada, and she made a new. Let's
see if I can use another instance of the word Canada here. $27.25. I'll just mix it up with my usage of the word Canada. I'm not going to use the same instance of it. I want to make it seem like it's a little fresher.
Over whether the U.S.-Canada border,
And for all I know, this Canada could be better in an earlier instance of its usage. We got 5 minutes left in the stream. Let's see if we can finish this sentence.
Canada. 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 Made when you can. A huge flood that killed Canada and she made when you Canada. Made when you Canada. When you Canada.
There we go. Yeah, Gurren Lagann is a pretty darn good show. I remember watching that on the Sci-Fi Network when its dub appeared, though. I'm never using because YouTube is where the poop is again. Man, I don't know if that was Mr. Simon who did that or if it was Conrad Slater. Because I remember that, like all of those intros that people used to use or still use in some ways in their YouTube poop, I think they were all made by Conrad Slater, including the YouTube poop is where the poop is. I think that's I think that's his voice in the where there's smoke they pinch back, and it sounds so good. It sounds like even the graphics that were used in those intros look really good. Oh good, he's actually saying knackered. Well, I've been mishearing it all this time. It sounds like knackered to me, because in the video where he says it, which is a tennis round against McMangos, it was like the opening serve, he's clothed, he's not naked. So like if you see it for yourself, like round 1 of McMangos versus Mr. Simon, he says that, like, just been to the gym, I'm fat, I'm knackered, and I suck at YouTube poop, so get used to it.
Canada and she made when you Canada.
There we go. Mr. Simon was my original fave, which he had the respect that others he inspired to. I think he has, like, there's no doubt in my mind he is one of the, I guess for lack of a better word, kind of like the founding fathers of YouTube poop, because he was there in like very early 2007 making stuff, incredible stuff, and a lot of his stuff was leaps and bounds beyond what a lot of other people were making at the time. He did what Deeper Cut did. He used sources that were more or less connected to him rather than what was popular, and that included pre-recorded stuff from his television. And it really took off, especially when he introduced, I think that Mr. Simon was the very first creator to use the Volvic Mr. Volcano and Tyrannosaurus Allen. I'm pretty sure that's the case, because he received a lot of flack as soon as it became popular from other creators who bemoaned that, oh man, now it's going to be overused, all the jokes are ruined. So I think that's it. I think that's his. I think that's where he plants his flag, another flag. Yeah, he definitely says knackered there. Let's see. It's 3:59. Yeah, I think I'll leave this sentence the way it is. And she made a new Canada.
And she made a new Canada.
That works. And we can have the same kind of flooding effect that was used in the prior video. So overall, we got a lot done. Like, we added on to some existing jokes that we created last week. We made some new jokes, new sentences. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of effort, but that's going to be the case with sentence mixing in general. Was Grover Teaches YouTube Poop made in 2007? I'm pretty sure that's 2008. I think that was made by Alvin YouTube Poop. I could be wrong. I'm trying to think back. I'm pretty sure that was Alvin YouTube Poop in 2008. Alvin YTP. That's what they were called. Because a lot of his earlier stuff, I remember watching a lot of his YouTube poops in 2007, and I do not remember Grover Teaches YouTube Poop being one of them. Is Commander Guam still around? I remember loving their stuff. I can't find, if they're still around, I can't find them, unfortunately, because their stuff was great. So many memorable jokes, like I Am Mean, for example, when the big, like shortly after like the I Am Mean craze died down, he continued using it, and he used a really funny joke. He changed "This book is made to order" to this book is made in China. And that's just one of so many brilliant jokes that he came up with. He has so many classic videos that I cannot for the life of me find anymore. And I hope that, I don't know, a hard drive somewhere re-uploads them. He's one of the unfortunate casualties. Speaking of excellent use of the N-word in a Volvic source, I'm going to... Yes. I think that's maybe my best use of that word, because the joke is that it's shocking. It's not the use of the word itself. It's that it's shocking. But I love it too, especially the way that I cut out Freakazoid's head. I think you have to find re-uploads, yeah. I mean, there should be like a ton of uploads somewhere. It's 4:01. I'm going to have to stop it here. Like, thankfully, we were able to stream the whole way through. The biggest thing that I was so scared about was that the stream would have to be cut short due to the fact that the memory is, like, when I was working on my YouTube poop last night, the memory was starting to get clogged. I don't know how best to describe it, but it was preventing me from doing simple things. But stay tuned. After the stream, I'm re-uploading a collab announcement video. If you love making YouTube poops, then this is going to be for you. So, guys, thank you so much for joining the stream today. I think Commander Guanum's videos are on a channel called Salty Spaghetti. Let me write that down. Salty Spaghetti Studios. You know what? I actually, that does come back to mind. But I hope it has all of the videos. Yeah. Use of it was probably the most textbook example of perfect use of absurdity while having an audience proxy reaction that was funny in and of itself. Yeah. I mean, the thing is that I remember another YouTube poop that used, so there was a video called George the Racist Volvic Bastard, which managed to get Mr. Volcano to say the word racism and Tyrannosaurus Alan to say racist. And it's kind of like one of those videos where the joke is racism, but it's just more like a story YouTube poop. So it's not like the first time that I've seen anybody do that. Well, my instance wasn't the first time that anyone went for that kind of humor in that joke. It was really cool stopping by. Hopefully I can catch you streaming again. Have a good one. Yes. Oh, by the way, there won't be any stream next week because I will be in a different state. But the week after that, the 10th is going to be my next stream. So mark the calendars if you want to mark a calendar. The 10th is going to be the next stream day. Do you usually stream on Sundays? Yes. I hope you can catch the next stream earlier. I stream on Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I usually put out like announcements before that. So consider this like a little bit of an announcement. 1 Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. The only exception is going to be like next week where I'm going to be in a different state where I'm not going to be able to stream. So that's going to have to wait. So the 10th of March is going to be the next one. I look forward to having you. Bingler Dangle, do not remove the seal. Thank you so much for stopping by. And all of you, really. Thank you for stopping by and watching me do what I love. So this is going to be a really fun video to work out in full. Can't wait to see where it goes on the future. So, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And that's my wife saying that's for. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, guys. See you soon.